Can you hear with this mic okay? Okay. Thank you. I'm Ed Grimsley, and after this trip and today I'm what's left of Ed Grimsley, so I'll do my best. Like she was saying, when I was young, I saw my first UFOs as a small kid, 12 years old, hiking in the high mountains, and one came across and was out over the edge of the mountain and looked at me, and my dad said, "Hold still, it's a UFO." And I said, "It knows we're here." And I waved, and my dad said, "Don't do that." And I did it, and then the one sat there and it wobbled back like as if it was waving back. And my dad looked at it and he says, "Don't do anything." Another one pulled up and was stopped behind it, and it was there looking. And then the one that had waved at me went whoosh, quietly as could be, and just disappeared so fast. And then the other one sat for a second, and then it disappeared. My dad says, I don't know if we should tell your mother about this or not." But anyway, there was other people with us, and the word got out, and we talked, and they're for real. And when I was near 16 years old, without seeing any for quite a while, I was in the sleeping bag in the Sierras near the Donner Summit, where the Donner Party and the strandedness and cannibalism took place back in history. And I looked up with the naked eye. I could see crystal clear. And suddenly I realized these stars are moving all over, and they're chasing and they're firing beams. And I'm going, whoa, I'm awake. So I yelled and I hollered into the tent to my dad and my mom and to the people that were sleeping around us in the camping bags. And my dad said, "Go back to sleep. You're dreaming." And I said, "No, get out here." And he did. And he said, "Oh, this is for real." And they were chasing and circling and firing beams and blowing each other up like you'd see in a Star Wars movie long before Star Wars ever happened. And I waked up the campsites and that next to us had all kinds of people watching. And then my dad went back to bed, said he didn't know whose side he'd be on, and his .270 deer rifle wouldn't reach them. So it was kind of scary to me. I stayed up through the whole night and watched them and studied them until daylight came. And this was a battle that was happening above Earth, a couple hundred miles up. And Earth had been rotating away from the sunlight, and we could see it at 8 o'clock all the way through until like 6:30 or 5 the next morning. When the sunlight got too bright, you couldn't see them any longer. So I knew they were real. I thought maybe it was Armageddon or, planet Earth being attacked or whatever, but it definitely was two sides, and they didn't appear to be too happy with one another. And I counted over 45 craft and the way they fought and they battled. So then, for years, I didn't see anything more. I would go out a lot and look, and you see a stars, or you think you see something moving across, but there was a couple of things that could have been. So older, I had a chance to get a pair of high-tech, high-dollar night vision, and I figured I can see them with these. They've got to be still out there. And I got the pair at a Reno gun show. And on my way home, I stuck the batteries in it, and I was up on the Donner Summit in the Sierras, coming back Highway 80, and there they were. I saw two flying and going at it and battling. And I'm going, oh my God, they're still doing it. So I started telling friends again, and if they laughed, they laughed, and if they didn't, they didn't. So I started showing people with night vision goggles, taking them out at night in the front yard or in the darkened area, and showing them. And then they started seeing them. So then I went out and got another pair of goggles, and it just went on, and I continued and started getting more pairs of goggles. And it's just amazing what you can see with the night vision goggles, high tech. Do not waste your money on low dollar goggles, because you won't be able to see. It's going to look like a cat or a dog in the backyard or something, but to see out in the stars and see these things moving, you need high quality Gen 2s or at least Gen 3s. And that's what I use, and so I got into it so much that I started having my own type made so that I could put special tubes in it and ship them overseas or other places, because you can't use the American military technology and ship it out of the country, or they want to give you a long time in prison. And I hear the federal food's not that good. And I just don't know if I want to be their cook either. So if anybody does want goggles later, I'll answer questions for you or try to help you get some or whatever. I'm on the website, www.edgrimsley.com, and then I have email of ed.grimsley@yahoo.com. But what I want to tell you is that we're going to show you a few pieces of film here. And we're going to go with Joanne Richards. I've been doing a lot of work with her, and her husband's father took Admiral Nimitz' place and was running the the International Space Program, the secret program, and then he took it over when Nimitz passed away. And Mark was one of the pilots in the international program who learned a lot, was close to his dad, and flew spacecraft, and actually went into battles against other beings. And Mark later went to the U.S. program, and the other international program was phased out. And then after Mark's dad had passed away as a commander of that international program, then Mark did that for a while, and then Mark decided to quit. And they didn't like that, and he got framed for murder, and he's in prison right now for life. I think he's been 27 or 28 years now. And I'm one of the people helping to get him out, because I know what they did to him. And they'll do it to anybody that gets in their way. And tonight, you heard some very good things about the secret space program and things that are going on. And believe me, those people, you came here, you listened, and you heard the truth. And you gotta know that's been one good conference. People that are putting it on and telling you, they're right on. So go for it. Are we ready on the clip with Joanne? Okay, this is Joanne, and her and I are doing kind of my sloppy first interview with anybody, but this is what she's going to talk about, and it's her husband that's in prison.
Okay, my father-in-law was in the Air Force, starting with World War II. He was a pilot and went on to be a test pilot for many things, and was always involved with military intelligence, starting with right after the war. And he was involved with pretty much any UFO investigation that went on, and was always involved with UFO hotspots of activity. And My husband grew up being the son of an Air Force officer, so he was around a lot of things. He went into the military himself as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and then he went into military intelligence work, and some of his missions involved battles up in space and over the earth and on the earth and with aliens and various bad guys, but he has done several battles with aliens, and he's flown, human spacecraft, and he's flown alien technology spacecraft. Well, in my father-in-law's Air Force career, on the one hand, he was investigating UFO incidents and fighting and, defending and protecting. And on the other hand, part of his job was to provide disinformation, because as much as we think now that we should hear everything, they kept testing the public to see if the public was really ready to hear stuff, and they kept determining, no, the public was not ready to hear the whole truth. Because they would put
even
stuff
all
out
these
there.
years later?
Well, like I said, I only know about a few missions, and I have a completed report on one of them. There's, 4, but 3 basically missions that I talk about. One was in 1976. They had learned of an alien plot to invade Earth, so his dad was in command of the team that went to the Antarctic to fight against some reptilians and former Nazis who were working together at a base down there. And then there were also aliens coming in through dimensional gates over China, and Mark was in charge of the air combat. So that was...
This would be right above the atmosphere in the edge of space?
No, this was right above China. People, and it was like right before a huge earthquake, which was actually, I don't want to say man-made, but it was man-made. It was, there was a tectonic weapon developed between the Germans and the reptilians, and they had planted these weapons, and they caused a series of earthquakes. So there was a major one in China. I
heard about that, and when this big one came overseas and 500,000 people died, I thought that it might be a test or a actual bang.
Be very curious about natural disasters that are starting to happen very quickly recently. But this one was July of 1976. The battle was right before this big earthquake because they couldn't stop all of them. There are a few that did happen. Then there was one a year later in September of 77. So the first one is called the Battle of the China Gates. 1977, there was a battle out in space. There was a base that we had on the moon, and the aliens attacked that. And so we were fighting a huge fleet that was planning to invade Earth in 77, and we stopped that. And then August of 79, they were heading out towards the asteroid Vesta, like for a peace conference with some alien species. And on the way, Mark's ship actually met a cat species, but they were also ran into like an ambush from a not friendly alien, and had a battle out there. So those are the 3. And then I have a report about an incident at the Dulce underground base. So the Battle of Vesta I have, and the Dulce I have the full manuscript for the 2 earlier ones, which I'm working on, typing and getting ready to release the public. The alien technology spacecraft he was flying was an actual captured craft, nothing that we de-engineered. It was just an alien spacecraft, and he was pretty much the only human who was allowed to fly it because it would only accept certain pilots, and otherwise they would be killed. Well, basically, there's a couple things going on.
Now, this is Joanne. This is introductory. You can look her up on Earth Defense League. I and a lot of people are becoming members to try to help her with some of her work. Now, her husband is still in prison, and he was a pilot in the military in helicopters, and he also flew in the international program, and then when it closed down, went to work for the U.S. had to take an oath, and I like, yeah, you have permission to kill me if I open my mouth. But anyway, he quit, and he lost some friends that were in battles out in space with him, defending your planet as well as mine. And where instead of him being a hero and being recognized, he's in prison because he didn't want to continue with what was going on. Now we have another clip here that we're getting ready for you. But one is like in my hometown, I have a couple of friends that would come down and get night vision goggles in with me and look through my goggles, and we were trying to film, and we wanted to get footage of some of them fighting and blowing each other up. And it usually is up 150, 200 miles up at least when they battle, and we see it. And you can't see the battling going on unless it's real clear, and maybe you don't see it too well like I did when I was a kid. So at this time, we're out, and my neighborhood kids are hanging out, and there are a couple of characters, and Jarrett usually has his mouth open when it should be closed. But this is it, and we'll show you this clip, and it's raw footage, and you'll see craft out flying 200-300 miles in space. If you look carefully, you'll see some big silver ones that are shining and passing, and at certain angles you'll be able to see the domes of the ship. And there's one big silver one that we had photoed and watched it come up from the direction of the ocean, and it had a trellising object below it, and as it was going and moving, it would kind of like doing this, like it was kind of swinging. And there was 4 Delta fighters that came by very fast in the background, and it just went whoop, and it stopped, and as they went on by, you'll see streaking of them. Then it started out again, and there's quite a bit of footage of them. And if we're ready to roll that, or got it? It's a thumbs up. I think we're ready for it. This light right here. Thank you.
4 of them.
There's 4. Yeah. Then take the laser off.
Whoa.
Take the laser off. Take the laser off.
You're killing. Oh, they're turning around, dude.
They're making a look at 2 are separating. They're going. The 2 are squandering over.
Holy man.
Hey, these don't exist, you guys. So we're just all seeing the same thing, okay?
There's the silver one at the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's 2 other ones.
Look at. You see that? They
are
pulled
flying
together.
further out.
And they've just covered about 1,000 miles in space in about, what, 4 seconds?
That was cool.
That's nice. We don't exist. They don't exist.
These kids are characters that come and hang out and do this, so.
They're like flying back and forth. They're like...
Where?
Over here. Look.
They're trying to guide me to one here and one over there.
Oh, there's a big silver one.
It's just saturated with them this night.
To the right of where your laser was.
Trying to hold the camera
See the
still.
big over?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cluster of ovals. See them?
Look, they just passed the whole school. Oh, dude, we shouldn't be shining the lights, dude. They're probably showing them all.
It's hard to see, huh?
That's all right.
It's
That's
not
all right.
coming through good.
Listen, you see that right there?
Yeah.
You see how you can see space in between them? You see the space in between them? Yeah. Okay, that's because there's 2 big ovals there, and they're side by side.
In a moment, you'll see 2 moving across. See the dome on the top as it changes angles?
Oh, we can edit your voice out, Jared. Hey, listen.
There's one moving out and coming into the scene. See it?
Well, the ones we just filmed, we got them. And they were covered so much.
This is filmed with
Okay, you
a
saw another squadron right after.
camera hooked to the back on one side and looking through the other side.
I'm going to try to catch up
And
with this set of ovals wherever they went to now, but they're moving pretty.
Those little ones?
Yeah.
Are going really fast in the squadron?
there's two. There's one going across again.
They're almost like they're started. Yeah.
I didn't start to see, but they're going so fast, man. They're going really, really fast.
You see these
And another. But this night there was like 15 or 20 craft coming around within 10 minutes, and they were crossing each other, going around and that, and I expected that we would probably see a battle, but it didn't happen. So nobody died on either side that night. So. No, they don't have an input, so we have to put a camera on it and then record it and take it out later. But I'm working on stuff like that, and I've got a company in Russia helping me to build something. So we've got some real good footage coming here. Richard Hoagland's lady, Robin, was with us in Albuquerque, New Mexico at a Tesla science project. And at that time, we were filming in front of a bunch of scientists by a swimming pool at the hotel where everybody was at. And here came a mothership, stopped a long ways up, and started dumping them out 2 by 2. And these patrol craft are going out and flying away. But it'll be in another piece of film here in a little bit. Now see those two coming close together like that?
They're sequenced right together. There's another one back there. Shine your
See it
light
passing another one?
right next to each other. Where is it?
It's also very hard to have 2 or 3 people and they're looking through goggles and you're trying to film and they're saying, no, over here, no, over there, and I'm going, where over there? And now this is a silver one that has something trellis below it, and it has came from the ocean area and it's coming up over our town. And you should be able to, not that one, a silver, there, that one. You'll see it kind of wobble, and you'll see something hanging down below it, like as if it was a helicopter carrying a fire bucket or something. Now, you can see it's doing some weird things and shape changing and that, and then there's others that are turning and banking. And I'm filming this about 200, 250 miles out in space with my goggles and my little camera. So I'm not an expert, but I got lucky a few times. So. I think that in a minute there's going to be a couple good ones, and we'll save that and then go on. Some of the little blobs you see here and there are stars in the background, and I'm moving around with the things that you see. Okay, you can cut her there. Thank you. No tricks. You can definitely see I wasn't using any talented people making any special film. That's just shooting it with goggles and a camera hooked up, plugged into one side, and looking through the other side and seeing what you're filming. And so you can understand that being a little jerky because you just can't use the stand and look up over here and over there. And we have another, what are we ready for? Huh?
The next one is
squadron footage. That's the Albuquerque area. Okay, now this is the part where I was in Albuquerque 3 years ago for a Tesla conference in energy, and we were filming for a lot of people and just trying to show them with a screen and recording. And we caught a mothership, and I tried to call attention to her, and she stopped and just held still, and she looked like a big star sitting there. So the guy that had the camera was doing this, trying to look in the camera lens, trying to find her, and he kept thinking that it was a star and moving past her. Then they started coming out of her at two, like this, in groups. And when they started coming out in groups of twos, then he basically followed those and got them on film. And I'm glad he did, because the star would have looked like, the ship would have looked like a star anyway, just sitting still. But the point was, if he had got him just a split second sooner, you would have seen him flying out of what was a star that was really a mothership. And after we got that scene, he had rewound it and was going to play it back again. So he couldn't turn it back on to record. And Robin and some other people looked up and they could see a big V-shaped thing that they thought was one craft. And they were getting grabbing goggles and strapping around. And then, as I caught them, there was 15 delta-shaped craft, about 150 miles up, going pretty fast, spaced out equally, like as if they were a battle pattern, like a fighter pattern. And we got to see those, but we couldn't put it on film because he had just played that back, and we would have played over what we had just filmed. So it is what it is. So when you go ahead and we'll be ready to. There'll be 7 craft all total come out that you'll see. But there are 3 at the very end. And 2 of them are very close together. Here they come. They're flying out from a craft back here, and they're going out to go on to patrol. And believe me, these are the real deals. Nobody playing games. The left one that seems brighter, that's because there's 2 craft there. Now pretty soon a moth will come flying out across the screen. But those, there it is. Now those are real craft, no games being played. So if you want to know if there's anything like a UFO and if it's real, there it is. Now, Jose Escamilla helped me and magnified it, brought it up. And you see on the left, there is 2 craft, and they're kind of like this, close to each other. But these are others, and they're flying. And you can definitely see at 250 miles or so up, these are real. Definitely real. And that's the same, just showing it over, and there they go. And you'll see them move a little bit and that, and they're passing stars. The other 2 are flying close. There's 7 there. And at the very last of this film, the people that were making the copy for me didn't put it in, but there was an 8th one that came out of the mothership, and it came out late, and it was going faster than hell to catch up with these others. And when it did, it pulled in, and you could just see it and the last one that was wobbling around. They dropped in and became there for them. So, thank you. Now, people ask about, UFOs and are they real and what do they do in that. And let me tell you, they are probably the realest thing on this whole planet. And the activity that I see by taking groups of people out, some of the things we see, it's unbelievable. And in Laughlin, Nevada, 3 years ago, there was about 120 people out with me, and we had a TV set up. We had like 20 pair of glasses, goggles hooked up with a movie, and the movie plugged in from the camera to the TV, and people were watching them, and we were seeing an average of probably 20 or 30 satellites in the night, 40, 50 craft. We'd see them 3 together and turning in a pattern going across. And we saw one large mothership. And when I say a mothership, it's very big and it's very bright. It's a craft that is like maybe 600-700 feet across. It's usually a circular craft. And it can stop and start and do whatever it wants. And I have seen them and recorded it, having craft go out and come in. We have filmed actual battle and tried to communicate with the supposed properly authorities. And they played some games on me, and so I don't talk to them anymore. I don't care if they are my government. But anyway, a lot of footage and a lot of things are going on my website. We're putting it up so that I have one in San Diego area and one that I keep up in Calistoga in the Napa Valley. And we're going to be putting a lot of people's footage on. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at it and see if it's real. I've got people that are putting footage on YouTube someplace, and some of it's real good and some of it's real stupid. And they're claiming that it's me that put it on there, and it's not. So I have to worry about people putting some bad stuff out there and claiming it's me so that maybe they can try to debunk me with that. And one fellow put up stuff, said it was sand. He said it was a squadron of UFOs. And I looked at it when I saw it. I said, who put that on? And it said I did. And it was a bunch of sand cranes flying in the dark. And he was filming them. And it turned out that he was one guy that came up to one of my skywatches and was learning how to skywatch, and bought him a pair of cheap goggles, and he was filming it. He wanted to go out there, and so he said it was me. So we had a little discussion about that, and he decided he wouldn't do that anymore. And see, the thing is that the things that I see and that I know about and what is going on, there's so much, and it's so true, and it's out there, and it's real. And I'm trying to tell the people the truth, because all of you need to know the truth. And I'm going to tell you, the governments are not telling you the truth. They're lying to you. NASA's not telling you the truth. They're lying to you. Some people call it NASA. I call it Nazi. It's unbelievable. And I see craft that look like a delta shape that looks like the Concorde jet that crossed the ocean and that. And I see them flying in groups of 2 or 3, and they are so fast that they're up 100 miles, 200 miles up, and they're so fast they cross the whole sky when you first see them. Depends on what place you see them. They cross in 5 seconds, 7 seconds if you see them in the beginning. If not, you catch them right overhead. You say, there, and you look, and there they go. They're 3 seconds gone. Okay? Now, that's some of the things that you can see. We see them sometimes way out there, 400 or 500 miles out with a squadron. The other thing is that we see things that look like a soap bubble, like kids blow a soap bubble. It looks like an orb. and they'll fly overhead or by a house or a subdivision. And some of you may have seen it if you have any goggles or a special camera, but to the naked eye you can't see it. And I have had them over a subdivision that I went back the next day to see if anything special took place in that subdivision, and somebody had died there. And so when I saw that bubble, I wondered if it was a spiritual vehicle that might come to get your spirit or help you back or whatever. But they're for real, and it's just some of what you're going to see with night vision goggles. And I think that what I've started around the world and how I've got people getting involved and happening, I think you're going to see a lot more of it. And we don't have much time. Today has been kind of going, so I've been asked to close the door. But before I do, I want to tell you that Richard Hoagland and Richard Dolan put on some real good information for you. And I know that what they are saying is the truth. And I'm going to back them up on it. And it is my honor to come halfway around the world, to come here and show this little bit of truth to you, because I know you want more truth. And the only way you're going to get it is stand up for your rights to know the truth, look at it, and if anybody says I'm from the government and I'm here to help you, turn and walk away. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ed Grimsley, for your very interesting presentation.